Hello. Today I'd like to show you spanning tree protocol. You don't really set spanning tree protocol up, so to speak, but I'd just like to do a demonstration on how it works and ways you can manipulate which ports will be in forwarding state and which ports will be in blocking state on a per VLAN basis. Also will give you a quick little crash course in the configuration of VTP or VLAN trunking protocol. So let's get started. 3 switches, 4 links, 1 redundant link in between switch 0 and 1, and I'm doing this one in Cisco Packet Tracer just because it supports switching natively compared to GNS3, where you'd have to go through and modify a bunch of stuff to have sort of a switching environment. There's one drawback to Packet Tracer, and that's that I can't set the cost per interface for VLANs, for spanning tree, but we'll have to use the priority command instead. So let me just go ahead and show you. This shows that switch 2 is the root bridge for VLAN 1. So just checking which interfaces are up on switch 2. Let's go ahead and do interface range. Fast Ethernet. Oops, fat fingered that. There we go. Switch port mode trunk. So we can span VLANs across multiple switches. It's going to require the VTP configuration as well. So let's set the VTP domain name to Damien, case sensitive. VTP mode should already be server, but let's just go ahead and make sure. Yes, it was. Switch 1. Same deal here. Let's check which interfaces are up. Global config mode, interface range, Fast Ethernet 01 through 3. Switch port mode trunk. Set the domain to Damien. VTP mode, we're going to set this to a client. No, didn't need to do. Alright, 1, 2, and 3. Switch port mode trunk. Let's configure our VTP domain Damien. VTP mode client. Okay, now since we've got all trunk ports and we got the VTP domain configured on all of them, we have switch 2 as the server. Switch 0 and 1 should be learning any VLANs that are configured. So set up VLAN 2, just name it VLAN B, because I like to give my VLANs a name. Let's create another one here, VLAN 3, we'll name it VLAN C. Can't change the name of VLAN 1, so it's just going to be VLAN 1. So we should have 3 VLANs besides all the other default stuff. 1, 2, and 3 on that one. And without even configuring VLANs on here, through VTP they should have been shared. And they are, through the magic of VTP. Just to prove it on this switch as well. 1, 2, 3, good to go. So, spanning tree works on a VLAN, on a per VLAN basis. So, it shows that switch 2 is the root bridge for VLAN 1. It's also the root bridge for VLAN 2. And it's probably going to be the root bridge for VLAN 3, as it is. And it got that way because of the MAC address, more than likely. The root bridge ID consists of a priority setting and also the MAC address. Since we left the priority setting as default on all these, the MAC address is what's going to determine which one of these switches will be root bridge. But we can configure per VLAN by doing this. Spanning tree VLAN 3 priority. Now we're going to modify the bridge ID by modifying the priority of the switch on VLAN 3. So if we set it to 4096, it has to be a multiples of 4096. So 4096 would be your lowest setting. Now we check and see that switch 0 is now the root bridge on VLAN 3. So just that easy, we stole the crown. Switch 0 is now the root bridge for VLAN 3. With that said, let's check spanning tree VLAN 3 on switch 1. As you see, we've got 2 block ports and 1 forwarding port. So the port forwarding traffic for VLAN 3 on switch 1 is fast Ethernet 0/1. And this is me trying to get Packet Tracer, which I'm not too familiar with, to show us the interface labels. And I believe this is where I kind of jack everything up for a second. As you can tell, yep, I'm recording this narration after the video part. Awesome. So let's go ahead and do this again. I'm a lot more savvy with GNS3 than I am with Packet Tracer, but I do like Packet Tracer, especially for switching environments. It's really cool. Just need a lot more practice with it. So now that we have our links back, they're not back up yet, but we're going to go ahead and do a show VLAN. Shows spanning tree VLAN 3 again. And actually, the result of that, you can see that the ports are not only in a forward or block state, they're in a listen and learn state on it. Which are different stages that ports go through in the spanning tree process. So, which is which? So it looks like fast Ethernet. Okay, we're on the wrong switch there. Let's go back to switch 1. Let's make sure we know which port is in the forwarding state. And look at that, it changed because we changed the cables, but that's okay. So fast Ethernet 0/3 is in the forwarding state for VLAN 3. Now what if you wanted to change that? Yes, we verified it as 3. So if you want to change that, my preferred method would be to go in to the interface that you want to be the forwarding interface and lower the cost. But Packet Tracer does not support the interface cost command through spanning tree. So you have to go to the adjacent switch, in other words, whatever port that you would like to be the forwarding port, that same link that's connected to the other switch, you want to grab that port and change the VLAN 3 port priority. So if you give that a lower priority, by default these port priorities are set to 128. They have to be in increments of 16. So let's set it to 16 on interface fast Ethernet 0/3 on switch 0, which is the adjacent port from switch 1's fast Ethernet 03 as well. And by doing so, we should make fast Ethernet 0/3 on switch 1 the new forwarding port, and that should throw, I'm sorry, we didn't have, it should have been, let's see here,